and outrun a few.
Drive the Nissan Rogue. Now, Nissan offers 6 vehicles starting under $30,000 MSRP. Shop at your local Nissan store or at nissanusa.com. 2024 Nissan Altima, Kicks, Leaf, Rogue, Sentra, and Versa. All prices are manufacturer's suggested retail price. Manufacturer's suggested retail price excludes destination and handling charges, tax, title, license, and options. Dealer sets actual prices.
I'm Angela Gonzalez, reporting from Phoenix. We're talking with the community about Phoenix Police Department. Ma'am, what do you think?
Oh, I love them. They're our local heroes. We've had some problems around here with break-ins and people using drugs on the streets. The police work with our community to have a presence in our neighborhood and keep our streets safe.
Thank you, Phoenix Police.
Gracias a la Policía de Phoenix.
Thank you, Phoenix Police.
Rise to serve. Find more today at joinphxpd.com. Protect and serve with the elite.
Sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
KQFN Tempe.
Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
Welcome back to Beat the Book here on a Wednesday afternoon and you're not going to believe this, partially cloudy uptown Scottsdale. Usually it's sunny all the time. You live here, you know the deal. But we are broadcasting live from the Harman Solar Studios here at 1580 The Fanatic. I'm Keon Rose. Alongside me is my co-host, our betting expert, Dylan Cohen. We're here to help you beat the book and make some money. Today on the show, we've got a lot to get to. We've got a recap of some of the picks from last night, WNBA, Major League Baseball, and we've got some NFL news that may impact certain decisions that you're going to make in this upcoming week of football. We'll also get to a little college football. We're going to talk some ASU, some Utah, some Big 12. Going to have some fun doing that, and we'll also get to the picks for today to wrap up the show. You're on the text line. That is 888-368-1580. And you join us every day as you do. And we want to know, as always, what happened to you last night? What were you betting? Did you make any money? We always root for you to make some money. But if you lost any money, we'll have a pity party with you too. All of that matters. 888-368-1580. What are your thoughts and opinions on some of the things happening as well? We'd like to get to that too. But before we do that, Dylan, who powers the show?
Sport Trade powers this show. And if you have not already, make sure that you search Sport Trade, download the app, get your account set up, and take advantage of the 10% cashback promotion for new account signups with Sport Trade. Be sure to use promo code 1580 to take advantage of that offer. Sport Trade is currently offering the most seamless live betting experience in the state of Arizona. They will accept your wager immediately. No spinny wheels. Some of the best prices in the market. If you find someone with a better price, just let them know. They're willing to match it or beat it. And they'll send you a text as soon as you sign up. So you've got an avenue to communicate that. So don't miss out. This is a groundbreaking sports betting app. You can wager on sports as if you are trading stocks. So it's just an all-around innovative experience. Definitely check it out if you have not already. And Keon, this is one of those days where we've got some sports going on right now as we're talking here. We've got the Detroit Tigers currently leading the Cleveland Guardians. They're up 3-0 in the bottom of the 6th inning. There's a runner on second base. There's 2 outs, so Tigers have a chance to run the lead up a little bit more. And this has just been the theme lately with the playoffs. We've been saying it over and over. It makes the product better, I think, in my opinion. Sounds like yours as well.
Yeah, like the overall parity to where you can tune into the playoffs. And I remember being a kid and just watching the Yankees steamroll people. And you just go, this isn't fun. You're not necessarily enjoying the game because you feel like you already know the outcome. It's like you watch a movie and, you're watching The Sixth Sense and you already know that there's dead people and everybody's already dead and the kid can see them. It's just, it's not exciting anymore because you don't feel like you have that mystery. It always feels like a mystery. We were even talking about this before the show. Dylan, that this felt like a bullpen game for the Tigers, maybe one you want to stay away from. And then here you are watching a game. The Tigers are leading 3-0 with a pitcher that got knocked around in game one. So I don't know what to make of the playoffs, except to say that I'm excited that it's like this.
Well, and going back to what you were just saying before, I mean, the way that baseball like used to work was there's like always a team that had 100+ wins, and you could just count on them making a pretty deep playoff run. I mean, we saw it over and over and over again. When you're on the other side of that and it's not your team with the 100+ win record, it's not so fun. But I also remember being a kid way back in 2001 when this state had the absolute best baseball team in the world. And, when you get to ride that train, you remember it for, the rest of your life, as I'm sure many people who, are natives out here and, can recall back to that, magic. And it's funny because we've seen so many other teams time and time again, try to, ascend to the mountaintop, and no one has been able to get the job done since, those 2001 Diamondbacks. So just gives you more respect. There's only so many people out there that can get the job done. And speaking of getting the job done, outside of this game that's going on right now, there's a few more today, and two of these teams have a chance to, finish their current work and advance on.
Before you get rolling there, Dylan, free guy active on the text line, 3 texts in a row. So I feel like I've got to get it now.
We said something good.
Yeah, he says, first off, Keon is the man. I always bet what he does. I would caution against that personally. The guy you want to be trailing is Dylan Cohen, who, all of the picks that we put out, those are his picks, man. I help with the football stuff sometimes, but those are his picks. I assure you. He also says go Mets and go Dodgers. So why both of those teams, free guy? I could understand the Mets a little bit, maybe. The Dodgers, we've been rooting against them around here. Why the Dodgers? And finally, the last text, he said, I hadn't seen The Sixth Sense. You ruined it for me. Next time, warn about spoiler alerts. And I got to tell you, the movie is 24 years old. It's been old enough to drink for a while. My personal rule is if a movie is like 20 years old, spoilers no longer apply. If you didn't care enough to see it in the previous quarter century it's been around, then you probably weren't about to get to it. But it's still good. It's an M. Night Shyamalan. You knew how it was going to go.
Yeah, and it's not like there was some big premiere event at a movie theater. Someone's spoiling it for you. People used to be ruthless with that back in the day. I remember sitting in a midnight screening for one of the Harry Potter movies. I want to say it was like the 6th one. It was the one where Dumbledore dies.
Yeah,
and someone like right as the movie was starting, the whole theater's quiet. Guy in the front row stands up, screams, Snape kills Dumbledore. Movie starts.
Wow.
It should have gone viral. Someone should have recorded it. I mean, you had people just absolutely losing their mind over this. So
you say that in the wrong theater. That's a good way to get stomped out. I'm not saying it would happen here, but there are places in this country it would happen. That's crazy. That's just mean. That's just one of the meanest things I've ever heard. All right, back to baseball. My God, man, that's terrible.
I happened to read the book, so it was kind of like, yeah, duh. Like,
yeah. But there were people probably only watching the movie going, "What, really? I can't believe he say that."
It honestly, I would say that was just a huge missed opportunity for a third person to film it, and then that could have been. I think back then it was probably like Vine was the thing.
It would have to be. We
long
were
time ago,
pre TikTok days.
But getting back to some sports here, yes, definitely need to talk about the Mets. They had a game yesterday against the Phillies, and they won pretty handily. And this one was shocking just because Phillies had Aaron Nola on the mound, and Nola didn't necessarily have the best track record against the Mets, but he is still pretty largely considered like the best pitcher in that rotation. And to see him have the kind of season he had just to fall flat in the postseason, that was shocking. I was definitely leaning on the side of Mets, but not to the point where I, bet it myself and told others to go bet it. So, if you did happen to win on the Mets yesterday, congratulations. That was a pretty easy one. And Keon, I mean, are we thinking the Mets can get the job done tonight? They're up 2-1 in the series, going for the kill.
I mean, they absolutely can. They have, first off, they have the power of the Brewers flowing through that team. You beat the Milwaukee Brewers, you've got a good chance of going to the World Series. It happens, quite frankly, so often that it's everybody knows it. It's not even a secret anymore. And then also, I just think they're red hot. They are one of the many hot teams in the postseason that just seem to heat up. I mean, the Mets actually started getting hot about mid-season, and from that point to now, they haven't really slowed down. They have guys who are really, really clutch. We saw Pete Alonso, obviously, with the big hit earlier in the postseason to help the Mets advance to this point. And, it's not as bad as the Dodgers and the Padres, but the Mets would love to see the Phillies go home. They would love to send them packing.
Well, and actually that game just started right now. So it's top of the first, 0-0, of course. And, as far as the pitching matchup goes, Phillies have Ranger Suarez pitching today, and then the Mets have Jose Quintana. And, Ranger Suarez had an excellent first half of the season, and then he really kind of tapered off a bit. So the Phillies are going to need a huge performance from him to keep, this train going and, keep their World Series hopes alive. On the other side, Quintana has been playing some of his best baseball really over the last few weeks here. So yeah, it seems like the Mets really do have the upper hand right now as far as the pitching matchup goes. They're obviously playing at home. So yeah, I mean, if the Mets don't get it done today, I fear for them. That is a tall task to go back to Philadelphia and try and make something happen. But it is a familiar position, that they've been in. They already did it once in Milwaukee. Who's to say they can't, conjure up some more magic and, make it happen if that's what it gets to. So we'll be, keeping an eye on that score as we're doing our thing here on Beat the Book. There was another game that went on last night within Major League Baseball. This has been wide and far the most entertaining series. We talked about how heated it was yesterday. A lot of disruptions from the Dodgers fans back in game 2, to the point where the Padres had to warn their fans about, behaving properly for game 3. And didn't look like there were any, fan incidences yesterday during the game. The teams kept it as civil as they could. And the Padres ended up defeating the Dodgers 6-5. They now lead the series 2-1. I just want to talk for a second about Fernando Tatis. This guy is like the hottest batter right now in all of baseball. 3 straight home runs in this series.
Yeah.
So when you think about what you're going to bet on tonight,
yep.
First thing that comes to mind for me is a Fernando Tatis home run.
It's at the point where we felt like during the regular season with Corbin Carroll getting a hit. Or Corbin Carroll with an RBI. Like, it just, at some point, it was so automatic, you just bet it. That's what Tatis feels like right now, but with homers, which is crazy.
Well, and, the game 1 that they had Yamamoto on the mound, excellent rookie pitcher this year for the Dodgers. Game 2, they had Jack Flaherty, another excellent pitcher for the Dodgers. Then we saw Walker Buehler yesterday. This is where you start to fall off the cliff a little bit in the starting pitching rotation talent for LA. And now tonight, I mean, as of right now, it's still showing as undecided. There were some comments from Dave Roberts that it was going to be a bullpen game for them. So assuming that is still the plan, I mean, the Dodgers are in a really, really tough spot here. There's a part of me that's almost skeptical of what Dave Roberts said. And perhaps this is just another layer of strategy to try and, have a team game plan as if, someone else isn't going to come in and actually be like a starting pitcher for, 4 to 5 innings. The Dodgers do have, I believe it's Landon Knack available, and Landon Knack has been a serviceable starting pitcher for them, at times throughout the regular season. So there is a small chance that they just end up inserting him, and it's not a bullpen game. And,
right.
Perhaps he does give a good enough performance to bring things back to LA.
That's just tough to ask for a guy like that. Because like you said, he's been serviceable, but this is the postseason. Pitching matters. So a bullpen game, that's a nightmare, I think, if you're the Dodgers, because, you're not getting your sharpest stuff. And look, like you said, Knack has been serviceable, but serviceable, the level of hitting in the postseason right now, I don't know that serviceable is necessarily good enough. And yeah, that also makes me feel even better about that Tatis home run either way.
Well, and look at Jack Flaherty. I mean, if Jack Flaherty couldn't get the job done, I don't think it bodes really well for Landon Knack.
Not at all.
Any relief pitcher that they throw out there. So
I mean, October has been weird. It's been a little funky. I don't know if it's been that weird and that funky.
I would definitely recommend sticking with the Padres money line. That's been my recommendation throughout every game in this series so far. You know, they may not sweep it, but they're going to win the majority of those games in the series to advance. The Padres are just playing the best baseball right now. They've got a very strong home field advantage. I think they said the attendance the other night was like 48,000, and they opened up some other back section of the stadium. So when they're piling in all the fans that they can get, and those fans are acting gruely and they're not, tossing beer bottles and baseballs on the field.
Right.
That's a pretty good atmosphere to walk into to try and win a game, eliminate a top team. So looking
and
forward
eliminate the Dodgers, who, by the way, this is the story of this baseball team every year. At some point, do the Dodgers get over the hump? Maybe next year they'll be more healthy, but it seems like they're never healthy.
I think something that you and I both really relish within sports is watching teams just hand over fist pay absurd amounts of money to bring in very talented people, and then just to watch it not work out for them. I take a lot of pleasure, a lot of pride in watching those situations blow up.
I mean, I'll be honest. I put myself on blast here a little bit. I grew up a Yankees fan. My grandma lived in New York. Washington had no baseball team at the time. Okay. So I wasn't a bandwagon hopper. We lived in New York for every summer for most of my childhood. And that's when all the baseball was happening. And you drive around New York and you hear New York sports radio, and all they talk about is the Yankees. In fact, even in the winter, all they talk about is the Yankees. They talk about the Yankees all year. So you just kind of get indoctrinated into it. So I go to college and I'm still a Yankees fan. I'm like 19, 20. And we're talking, me and some friends about, what are our chances of winning the World Series? And I'm bragging on the Yankees like you do as a fan. And the thing that I end up saying the most is just how much money we spent. That's all I was talking about. Money, money, money. And it just occurred to me that it was really weird to be just bragging about another guy's bank account, because that's what I was doing. I was bragging about a Steinbrenner bank account. And that put me off so hard. I gave it up. I was just like, I can't root for the Yankees anymore. And then, like a couple of years before that, the Nationals had actually returned to DC. So I was like, yeah, I'll just have all DC teams. I already root for the football team. I already root for the Wizards. This is just, I root for the Caps. I'll just add this as a team here. And so that's what I always feel like whenever, you're a Dodgers fan or a Yankees fan, and I hear you bragging about how good your team is. All I hear, even if all you're mentioning is player names, is that you're bragging about somebody else's bank account. Doesn't that feel weird to you? That doesn't feel odd?
That's something that I could not ever relate to within Arizona sports until Matt Ishbia came to town. And ever since, I will root for Matt Ishbia's United Wholesale Mortgage money all day long. Love, what that is ultimately doing to impact the Suns and the fan experience. And, it's nice when you're the beneficiary of that, other person's very large bankroll. But, when you're...
Look, it does work, but when it's every year, like the Dodgers and the Yankees every year have either the first, second, or third between those two teams highest payroll in baseball annually. So it's one thing to have like an ownership group that just like they push all the chips in at the middle of the table and you're spending money. Quite frankly, the 2019 Nationals were that too. They paid a lot of money for that team, but it was, we're close. So let's just push all the chips in and see if we can make something happen, as opposed to every year we just spend lots of money, because that's our business strategy. We just spend lots of money. It's funny when those teams go down to me. The Moist one, by the way, great text. He says, cue up Dave Roberts crying about the 5 days off between series. I don't blame him, because he's trying to save his job with the excuse. But if the Yankees go down as well, I guarantee they change the format. What do you think about that?
I don't think they're changing the format just because I have to imagine viewership is it's got to be like somewhere near a record high right now. I mean, there's just a ton of engagement about this sport, and I can at least speak from the perspective of someone that like I loved baseball growing up as a kid, and then there was a time where I didn't play it myself. I just kind of grew out of it. Watching the product on TV, it used to work so differently. It was so much harder to sit through a whole game and really take it in and watch it. And between all the changes baseball made and sports betting, engagement just has to be through the roof. I mean, it totally reeled me back in. It's a big reason why the WNBA is seeing the kind of, record viewership they're seeing. The sports betting dynamic, it's driving a lot of eyeballs back to the product. So I think as long as the bottom line is where the MLB wants it to be, they're not going to make any changes.
Yeah, and I think here's what I'll say, about what Moist One is saying. If I'll just play devil's advocate to you here for a second, I think that Major League Baseball would love that Dodgers-Yankees series, and if they think that the 5 games off for those top seeds is causing them to lose, that because as much money as they have to be making right now, I can't imagine how absurd it would be to have the LA market and the New York market premier teams going head to head against one another in prime time for a 7-game series with a championship on the line, with the history of those two teams and how long it's been since we've had a World Series involving either of them. It's sort of like the Lakers Celtics. Like, it's so historic that even when I like the other teams matter, if you get the Lakers and the Celtics in a finals, that's insane.
Well, and we've only had 2 years now, or I guess 3. So I just looked up when the MLB postseason expansion happened. Looks like it happened in 2022. I'm not sure if that implies that they did one in 2022, then they did one in 2023, and this is year 3. But either way, it's just not that big of a sample size to be able to like step in and make some big radical change. If they saw that 5-day break was then translating to like a ton of injuries and it's really like decreasing the product that ends up being on the field, then maybe there could be some move and they could still look to, change things down the road. But I can't see them like making this big overhaul and then not giving it at least like 5 years, somewhat of a larger sample size, right, to then be able to step in and say, okay, we need to tweak this here. We need to, decrease the amount of time. This is too much. That team's just been on ice. Now it's taken away from their performance. I think Dodgers fans and that organization need to look themselves in the mirror and go, we are allocating too much money to the top. We're too top heavy. We don't have depth. And when guys like, Tyler Glasnow go down and Clayton Kershaw goes down, and I know they have a number of other pitchers.
Oh yeah, they've got about $1.5 million. You could talk Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin. I mean, they Gavin Stone. They actually are very deep. It's just they've got like 6 or 7 guys that are just out. And I mean, but to the point of this argument, they weren't struggling with the same kind of pitching challenges last year when, they faced the D-backs, and that's true.
They just happened to run into a team that was just in the hottest part of their momentum.
And sometimes that's what it is. And like, I understand giving yourself the chance, but yeah, I hear you. Like, the money can't buy you everything. So we're right up against the break. We're going to have to jump to it, but I like the text Moist One, and the Davey Roberts crying. Like, that is going to happen. He is going to whine about that. He did it last year. I think it's going to happen. It's an annual thing now that they've changed the format in the playoffs. And Dave Roberts, I think he's a really good manager, but
his tactics are questionable, particularly when he pulls pitchers that he's not confident about. Then he gets the PR team to try to lie to cover up his
it's just like there are mistakes that get made, and look, at some point you're just not going to be able to hide from the music. So we'll get to some college football talk around the corner now, and boy, we got a big one. ASU, Utah. This is the best time in the week to talk about it for us, so we're going to go ahead and do that right here on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Kevin Harlan here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner and I are set to bring you the action between the Falcons and the Eagles from Philadelphia. Philly with Saquon Barkley, the running back, now sparking the offense. They return
Breaking
home.
news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code QUICK to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code QUICK for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code QUICK for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
In most countries of the world, Porte means door. United Porte Custom Doors, located in the Scottsdale Airport Design District, is now open with over 40,000 European doors, all in stock, ready for delivery, and at wholesale prices. Designers, contractors, builders, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Porte, Porte. Stop by to see and feel the quality at United Porte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
It's fall football season, and Kasai Japanese Steakhouse is doubling down. Now at 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better and more authentic than Kasai, where talented Teppan chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is prepared right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire and offered daily with specials on their Asian-inspired comfort food like Korean steak tacos, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and signature Wagyu beef sliders. Always a memorable dinner, or catch the game and a bite at the bar at Kasai. Now at 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird and in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppan.com. That's Kasai Teppan.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Arizona's new home for sports.
What's going on the text line? I got a good feeling about the Falcons. Oh, you heard that, did you? the old NFL preview play. Yeah, me too. Me too. I got a feeling too. So we've got some college football coming up, and the Big 12 is just kind of insane this season in terms of where people thought they were going to finish preseason. We saw a lot of the votes out there, and these teams are not doing what they were predicted to do. The Arizona State Sun Devils, for instance, they are absolutely not doing what they were predicted to do. They were predicted to finish last in the Big 12. I think it's safe to say that's not happening. And they're 2 games away from bowl eligibility, which is very, very nice. Kansas, ASU just beat them. They were predicted to finish first in the Big 12. That is clearly not happening. And I actually don't think that Kansas is a bad football team, but boy, they can't finish games at all.
What was the expectation for OK State? I have to imagine they were like...
They were up there. I
can't
remember... Maybe so I can get the Big 12 preseason polls pulled up here.
Well, they're one of the other 0-3 teams in the conference right now. So, I mean, everything has just been really turned on its head, through the first 5 weeks of, the college football season so far. And look, Texas Tech, they have separated themselves. They're 3-0 in the conference, 5-1 overall. We saw Arizona play Texas Tech, and they did not fare very well. Same with ASU. So, who's going to be able to take Texas Tech down, in your opinion, Keon?
I that's a great question. And Texas Tech they're just rolling. It's hard to figure out who is necessarily going to take them down just because of they seem to be playing football at an insanely high level. And I thought ASU could beat them because I just didn't think they're that great, but they seem to grind out wins and find ways to pull out victories seemingly all the time. By the way, OK State was picked to finish third. So a lot of disappointment going on inside of college football. But yeah, I think it's tough to figure out exactly who's going to take out Texas Tech because I just feel like the conference feels so wide open. It could kind of go any direction almost, including possibly nobody taking out Texas Tech.
I love the irony and just the fact that Texas Tech's only loss so far this year was to a Pac-12 team. at Washington State, they lost 37-16. Otherwise, they are doing very well within the Big 12. Their next game is going to be they actually have this weekend off, so it's going to be on the 19th of this month. They are taking on Baylor at home. That game is on ESPN2. And just looking at the rest of their season for right now, seems like Texas Tech has a very good chance of positioning themselves potentially for one of those 12 college football play-in spots.
And they absolutely do. If they're competing for a Big 12 championship, they'll get in if they win it. And depending on the quality of the opponent that they meet in the Big 12 championship, they may get in if they don't. Just depending on how things shake out across all of these other conferences. Because if the SEC continues to cannibalize itself, and boy, does it look like that's going to happen, then the door might be open for multiple teams from other conferences to have a crack at getting into the playoff. As for teams that could possibly take down Texas Tech, BYU's playing really well. Iowa State's playing really well. I just don't believe in Colorado. I just...
Yeah, I know. I'm right there with you.
I look at some of these wins and I'm just like, all right, the Nebraska game was absolutely, that went as it was supposed to, but Colorado State is not good and Baylor is an underachieving mess, and Central Florida is not good either. I don't believe in Colorado. I think at some point you're going to start playing actual teams inside of the conference, and I don't know that you're winning that. Their next game, by the way, this Saturday versus Kansas State. Think that one's a loss.
Well, and translating all of this over to the betting market, just taking a look at, odds for teams to make the college football playoff, Texas Tech right now at plus 650 on FanDuel. So getting 6.5 to 1 odds for the, lead team right now in the Big 12, 3-0, to be able to finish off the season strong and get into the college football playoff. Then you've got BYU and Colorado both at 10 to 1 right behind them. West Virginia actually in between at plus 850. So, I mean, very much a dogfight still, plenty of the season left for, someone to try and separate themselves. But obviously for the two Arizona teams, that's going to be a lot more difficult, seeing as how they've already had their game against Texas Tech and they were not able to get a win there. So, looking at, potential betting opportunities, if you're someone that's pretty big on Texas Tech, just to simply get into the playoff,
which I like, because Tech has a schedule that's very favorable. They, one of the reasons why they are they have the record that they have, rather, is because they haven't played the toughest teams. Like Abilene Christian's not good. North Texas isn't good. Arizona State's still rebuilding. They're surprising people, but they are rebuilding. It doesn't feel like it, but they are. Cincinnati is in a weird place, and that was a close game. I think Arizona's kind of stuck in a middle place too, kind of changing coaches. So what's going on there? And their next game is against Baylor. That's a very winnable game for Texas Tech. Then they've got TCU. That's also a really winnable game. I think the game that's going to be the real litmus test for the Red Raiders is when they play the Horned Frogs on October 26th. That game, I think, is going to tell us a lot about Texas Tech. But even after that, they get Colorado, they get the struggling OK State, they get West Virginia. I don't think that they're going to run the table, but they have a chance here to win a bunch of games and kind of get themselves at least
in a Big 12 championship game. And once that happens, well, you've got a really good chance of getting in the playoff.
Well, and just looking at how things are right now with the standings and how things could end, when we get further along in the season, that very last game of the year for Texas Tech is against West Virginia, who is also one of those undefeated teams right now. And if West Virginia were to continue on their success and carry it late into the season along with Texas Tech, then that final game could have some pretty big implications on who's ultimately going to get into that Big 12 championship matchup. So if you're someone out there that, feels really good about West Virginia, then perhaps that might be, the dog in the race that you ultimately want to back. West Virginia to win the Big 12 conference championship game is priced right now at plus 850. And look, I mean, if you think U of A or ASU can still, redeem themselves, and maybe Texas Tech, West Virginia, BYU, maybe they start to slip.
I wouldn't bet on ASU just yet. I think ASU in a year, maybe two, just get another recruiting cycle in there, get some of those guys that were freshmen a couple of years ago to now start to be sophomores and juniors, like just start to get some upperclassmen that Kenny Dillingham recruited. That, I think, is when ASU is going to be able to strike when the iron's hot. Right now, I just don't think that they've got enough to basically win enough games to get to the championship, because you're a 2-loss team. You're already on the bubble, which is why West Virginia can kind of work if you believe that they've got at least one upset left in them this season. But I think ASU's maybe tough. And honestly, I think Arizona's a little tough sledding too, just again, with that coaching situation. You can see the difference in the coaching and the way that it's affecting the way that they play football. So if you believe in them, I mean, go for it. But I think you should exercise a little bit of caution there.
Well, what about just to get over the hump of beating Utah at home this coming Friday? They've got that primetime game on ESPN. Utah is coming to town. They are ranked 16th in the country. And, for ASU, this is a big home test, but we've seen it time and time again. We saw it last week. ASU seems to play a lot better at home. They really benefit from the environment, the crowd. With Kansas, they had the late touchdown at the very end to pull off the win. And with Utah, they're coming into this a bit banged up.
They beyond coming into this a bit banged up, Cam Rising, I think, is the straw that stirs the drink for that offense. He's not just a good quarterback. I think he's a really great quarterback. He's got a ton of experience. We were looking it up earlier. Cam Rising's been playing college football for like 7 years. There are players in the NFL like Anthony Richardson. He is older than, despite the fact that he is still, in fact, playing college at the University of Utah. But he's been injured. And that's one of the reasons why he's still in college, is because he keeps getting years of eligibility added on to his college career because he keeps getting hurt. And so he never ends up using the eligibility of the season that he's in. And they're back in there again. Now they're going to ask Isaac Wilson, their freshman quarterback, to make his 4th ever start against an ASU offense that is rolling. Cameron Scadaboo, I think, obviously is doing his thing. But to keep up with ASU, to ask a freshman to do that, that's really tough. I think ASU has shown, even in the games that they've lost, they can put points on the board. That you're going to have to work to outscore this team, and they're a great run defense, and they're very great. The numbers for ASU at home against the run are absurd. If you're trying to run the football on the Sun Devils in Tempe, good luck. It's a bad idea, but sometimes it's the only idea you have. And when you have a freshman quarterback, you'd like to run the football. I don't know that Utah's going to have all the success that they have had running the football. And even on the road, ASU's been phenomenal against the run with some teams that like Texas State. Texas State's a great running team. Obviously they just held Kansas in check, and all Kansas wants to do is run. So this is a really big upset spot for the Sun Devils. I think they can pull it off.
Well, and 2 things. One, Cam Rising is the same age as Justin Fields and Jordan Love,
which is insane.
Just to put that into
absolutely
perspective.
And I just insane.
But you look at ASU's schedule beyond this game, and this is where I find them kind of a fascinating pick, particularly for that team to win the Big 12. Right now, their odds to win the Big 12 are 75-1. If they happen to beat Utah at home today, Their next 3 games on the schedule are at Cincinnati, at OK State, and then at home against UCF. Just based on the standings and with where those teams are now, obviously they could drop one of those. They could lose it.
Yeah,
But
Cincinnati's feisty, but that's a winnable game. And I think the UCF game's a winnable game too. The only one I'm a little concerned about Oklahoma State because they're underachievers. They're still loaded.
well, 3-3 record for OK State, 0-3 in the conference. But they're going to be hungry to try and beat a team that I'm sure in OK State's eyes they probably see ASU as a lesser competitor.
Yeah, and because they're struggling, you don't get to have the trap game advantage where you can kind of have a team overlook you and then you punch them in the mouth and get a victory that maybe you would otherwise not get. Oklahoma State's trying to get every victory they can because they do want a bowl game. And speaking of quarterbacks, like Alan Bowman, their quarterback has also been playing for like 1.5 million years. So it's just that's a theme in the Big 12 is guys who are just second-year seniors.
It's amazing what the combination of COVID and NIL
and injuries,
and
yeah.
injuries, right?
Yeah, like if you're Cam Rising, you're probably not going to the NFL anymore with all the injuries and all of that. However, there's still money to be made playing college football as long as they keep telling you you're eligible to play college football.
He's probably going to find himself a very nice opportunity potentially with the coaching staff in Utah or maybe somewhere else. Or
that's the reason why when guys transfer, sometimes I wish they wouldn't, just because if you stay at a school for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, like some of these guys do, I mean, what, you open up a car dealership, you get a local broadcasting deal after you're done playing there. Like he's set. Cam Rising in the state of Utah, he's good. He can pretty much do whatever he wants for the rest of his life.
I know this feels a little bonkers, but let's just again say ASU does beat Utah at home. Now they move to 5-1. We just talked about those next 3 games. Very realistic chance they could win those. So we might be living in a world where come November 16th, ASU could be sitting at 8-1 on their record. If that comes to fruition, I would imagine their odds to win that conference are going to decrease significantly from 75-1, perhaps down to 10-1.
It's if you believe they can do it, take it. I personally am not ready to put them there yet, just because I do think this is a pretty competitive conference of college football. But I mean, obviously, like at some point, the numbers just get to be too good to not play.
Well, and that's where I would definitely encourage just treading lightly right now. It's not a bad spot to sprinkle a little bit of money on, but just keep in mind ASU's last 3 games of the year at K-State, at home against BYU, at U of A. Those are 3 very difficult games.
Those are difficult games, and I know that Arizona's struggling this season a little bit too. But No Fit is a real guy. That guy still can throw the football, and I forget the name of the receiver right now at the top.
Tetairoa McMillan.
Yeah, I mean that's an NFL player. Like that's a day 1 draft pick. I'm just telling you right now, without question, that's a first round.
Well, and we've seen enough territorial cups by now to where we know. I mean, whatever your record is coming into that game,
just
it doesn't
matter.
matter.
Just take that, just ball it up, chuck it out the window. We've got to go, and we'll be right back very, very soon because we got to get to the picks today. And we want to make sure that you get an opportunity to play those. You're listening to Beat the Book here on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens. And it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Everybody's got a podcast these days. Comedy, politics, true crime, you name it. But how many actually teach you anything useful? Harmon Solar has an entertaining podcast that is vital if you've been thinking about looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Ralph and Ben explore the intricacies of utilities, equipment, processes, and more. Their primary objective is to educate and empower you to make informed decisions on your solar journey. So increase your knowledge, not your bills. Go check it out right now. It's the Harmon Solar Podcast at harmonsolar.com.
JD Hayworth here, and the road to feeling better leads to my good friends Dr. William and Ava Gaspar at Beehive IV Wellness in Chandler. with both licensed nurses and physicians on staff by appointment or walk-in. Beehive IV Wellness takes a holistic, naturopathic approach that helps your body with self-healing. All of today's popular treatments are available at Beehive Wellness, from IV hydration to joint injections, even popular semaglutide for weight loss. If you haven't tried IV treatment, you're missing out on your chance to really get healthy. So look them up, make an appointment, or simply walk into Beehive IV Wellness at their Chandler Clinic, where you always get a free initial consultation. Mention me, JD Hayworth, get half off your first treatment. Search Beehive IV Wellness on your mobile phone. You'll thrive with Beehive.
Don't miss a minute of the action when Sun Devil football returns to Mountain America Stadium to take on Big 12 Conference rival Utah, Friday, October 11th at 7:30 p.m. in ASU's annual blackout game. Levitt keeps the ball, takes off and runs to the left, to the 10, to the 5. Levitt dives for the end zone. Touchdown Devils! Get your ASU Utah tickets today by calling 480-727-0000 or go online to sundeviltickets.com.
Hey, son, what you doing?
Looking around for jobs, offices, 9 to 5. I don't want anything boring.
You know, Brian's son is in the Phoenix Police Academy. Pretty sure he's not bored.
I never thought of that.
Check out joinphxpd.com and take a look.
Over 80 specialty details like detective and canine handler. What else? Dignitary protection, 911 operator? They have aviation and dive team jobs?
Rise to serve. Find more today at joinphxpd.com. Protect and serve with the elite.
Sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
If it's local,
We talk about it.
1580 and 99.3.
The Fanatic.
We're about to wrap up Beat the Book today, and it's boy, it's been flying by. So we've got some picks to get to tonight, Dylan, and it's a lot more Major League Baseball going on.
Yeah, so I mean, there's two games that we can look to try and place some bets on that have not started yet. I did go into a bit earlier during the first segment on the Dodgers and Padres, and what kinds of things you can look to bet for there. So you can look to bet on the Padres. We talked about the conditions for that game. They've got the upper hand with the pitching right now. Dylan Cease is going to be back on the mound for them today. Didn't necessarily have the greatest showing in game one. And yes, the Padres didn't end up winning game one, but Cease is one of the most feared pitchers in all of baseball. The dude threw a no-hitter earlier this season, among the league leaders in strikeouts. He's a very capable pitcher, and I'm sure the Dodgers would love to have a guy like Dylan Cease on the mound for them today. Meanwhile, the Dodgers actually finally posted who their starting pitcher is going to be. And it is a name I am not very familiar with, which is kind of a encouraging sign. It's Ryan Brazier. And I would imagine this is a relief pitcher for the Dodgers. Yes, he is. So this is a bullpen game. Davey Roberts was telling the truth. No misdirection. They are going to be cycling through a number of different pitchers. And this is just not a comfortable spot for the Dodgers. So
I hate everything about this.
I
hate
would
everything
not
about this for the
encourage Dodgers money line play. Back the Padres. Definitely look for Fernando Tatis hitting props. He has just been on fire. We talked about that before. But this other game that's going on, New York Yankees, Kansas City Royals. This is a spot where backing the Royals is going to give you a bit more value. They are still priced as a dog. Currently offering even money on the money line. So Yankees are priced as a slight favorite. The Royals are bringing better hitting into this game. They've got the home field advantage now with the series moving to Kansas City. And then you look at the pitching matchup, and it's Seth Lugo going for the Royals and Clark Schmidt pitching for the Yankees. Seth Lugo, very established, starting pitcher, great right-hander. He's got a great track record against the Yankees. And Schmidt's track record against the Royals is not nearly as good. So I would definitely recommend backing the Royals. Good value there as a dog. And this one's kind of going off on a limb a little bit, even though it shouldn't be. Bobby Witt Jr., he has not done anything in this series so far. 10 plate appearances through 2 games, 0 hits, 4 strikeouts. I'm wagering that he breaks out of that tonight with the change of scenery, going back home. The Royals' eyes got to be wide right now. I mean, they have a chance to really tip the scales. They were able to essentially take home field advantage back for them by winning a game in New York. So this is a spot where they can take the 2-1 series lead and go for the kill tomorrow in Game 4. So count on betting on the Royals. But something else I did mean to bring up before, and I think we just kind of got off on a different tangent. We had a WNBA game yesterday. Minnesota Lynx, Connecticut Sun played the Game 5 of that series. The Lynx did end up winning. So they now advance to the WNBA finals. Those start tomorrow. And it's a pretty interesting matchup. I do think the 2 best teams truly did make it this time. The Las Vegas Aces just lost a bit of that punch that they've had for the last couple of years. Team was not meshing the way that it was in seasons before.
Coach-player drama. It was kind of ugly in there.
So, it is nice to see the Liberty, overcome that hump, so to speak. They are favored in this series against the Minnesota Lynx. And I do think that that's rightfully so. The New York Liberty just have a tremendous amount of talent. And I think the Lynx are going to struggle with the size that they can put on the floor between Brianna Stewart and Jonquel Jones.
Big basketball team in New York. And I just think Brianna Stewart's on a mission. Last year she wins the MVP. Probably shouldn't have won the MVP. A'ja Wilson, when you look at the numbers, she was actually better. A'ja Wilson responds by having the single greatest season a WNBA player has ever had. So she undeniably wins the MVP this year. But you're Brianna Stewart. You did win the MVP. How does that feel to hear for a year about how you just didn't deserve to win it? And then you go to the finals last year, you play the Aces, you lose. So for now, Brianna Stewart's got the chance to kind of get the last word on this because the Aces didn't make it. A'ja Wilson's not there. Brianna Stewart may not have walked away with the MVP this year, but she could walk away with the championship. That's better.
Well, and something else to look out for as far as the bets go. If you have not been betting on Napheesa Collier's points for the Minnesota Lynx, you've been missing out. She's got 3 straight. She's got 3 straight games of 25 plus.
It's absolutely a feast.
And that prop consistently every single game, it's priced somewhere between 2 to 1, 2.5 to 1. So you just bet on one thing, you get a pretty decent return on it. She hits that 25 mark, usually like late 3rd quarter, early 4th quarter. It's not even a sweat. So that's been one of my favorite bets lately. I would definitely keep an eye out for that one once the market opens on that tomorrow. But if you want to get your bets in on the Liberty to win the series, this is a good time to act on that. So take advantage. They are a -265 favorite on the money line for that game tomorrow in New York. There's going to be a lot of celebrities, a lot of stars out for this. Liberty have a really big following out there.
Yeah, I know like Spike Lee's at those games, and it's fun to watch.
Well, and again, just goes back to the whole thing with the product getting better. Betting makes it better. Just a completely improved watching experience. Then you've got this crazy influx of talent that the league got this year between Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Rakia Jackson, Caitlin Clark, of course. So, really good things to come for the WNBA.
Brink, yeah.
Super excited to watch this finals. I don't think I've ever said that before. I've
watched the WNBA finals obviously for a while, but this is the most exciting one that I can remember in a while. Maybe the Mystics, since I root for them in 2018 when they won. That was a fun one. But just as a fan of basketball, I'm very pumped about this.
Well, and speaking of being a fan of basketball, we've got a very exciting NBA season right around the corner. So there's going to be many more bets posted once that rolls around. NBA is more of a consistent thing throughout the season. So, on a day like today, there's not many games going on. That's a big reason why I didn't make another post. But definitely continue to follow my Instagram account at Beat the Book Fanatic, all spelled out. Continue to check that Beat the Book website. There will be a post tomorrow with 10 more picks. And excited to get into this end of October where we have the intersection of all 4 major sports. It's the best betting time of the year.
It's the best betting time of the year. It's the best sports viewing time of the year. By the way, Tigers, they get it done. They win 3-0 over the Guardians. That is ball game. as they say. So that is just another shocking result, quite frankly, in a playoffs that has been very shocking. And we've talked about how good that is and how absolutely exciting that is to see. The Daily Blender is coming up next. I'm Keon Rose. That's Dylan Cohen. And you're listening to Beat the Book on 1580 The Fanatic.
I'm Bridget Condon with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Jets have decided to part ways with head coach Robert Saleh.